This is Lisa Tucker, host of The Book Cover, which showcases local literary personalities. So listen to The Book Cover on the borderline. And remember, don't judge a book by its cover. Hi, you're listening on The Borderline. This is The Book Cover. I'm Lisa Tucker, and today I have first-time offender Carey Smith, author of Operation Highway 129. Welcome to the show, Carey.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. And I love, I actually don't get as many fiction authors in here as I like. It's my favorite genre. And we were talking a little bit before the show. And we were talking about, so I had read your summary on Amazon, and you know, the main character, the lead character is Tess, who is going to Wawa, is it? Chapleau, sorry.
Yep.
Wrong Northern Ontario town. So she's going to Chapleau to open up this, to get this new bank started. So right away in my mind, forgetting we're in Northern Ontario, I'm thinking, oh, this must have been 40, 50 years ago. But we still have communities in Northern Ontario that don't have banks.
Yes, you are correct.
That is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy to me. So this is a perfect Northern Ontario book, even though you do place it in Chapleau, which is nice, but you said you don't place it in a time period.
Correct.
But so it could be 50 years ago, I guess, right?
Yep. Some of the, I guess, references are a little bit modern. Again, in my book, you'll see cell phones and texting and everyday kind of communication. But it could be. It doesn't have an actual date or timestamp.
Right.
Just hoping that everybody will kind of figure it out on their own.
Right. And that's nice. Not spoon feeding the reader is nice because that lets your imagination run a little bit more wild.
Correct.
Tell me now, before we actually get into the book, tell me why. Now, your day job is not writing.
Yes. Well, I'm a human resources professional, and although I do write, they're usually discipline letters or things that people don't typically want to receive.
Business things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dry, to the point, no flourishy words.
Correct. Yes.
So what in your background or what in your sort of history brought you to write a book?
So I've had this on my bucket list for many years, and it stems from a hockey trip that my family went on. We lived in Thessalon, and we took the Chapleau Highway up to Timmins one March, early 2000s. And at that time, I mean, cell phones were cell phones, but they were the old kind that didn't get very good reception. But the kids had their technology, and the highway is so remote. It's in the middle of nowhere that all of our technology went off. There was no radio. There was nothing. So we had to come up with some sort of games or conversation with the kids. And of course, it was later on in the evening. So you're traveling on a very remote highway with no traffic, and two kids that were a little freaked out because of the terrain. And we started to have the conversation about, it started with, man, you can murder somebody up here and nobody would find the body. That's how it originally started. And
Sounds like my family.
And then it grew into other crazy things. And I just happened to be, because I am an ex-banker, I'm like, I could rob a Brinks truck up here and nobody would find me for days. So that's how it started way back early 2000s on a hockey trip with my family.
Wow. And I love it because I always bring back heists to D.B. Cooper. Oh. Are you familiar with D.B. Cooper?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, this happened I think it was in the 50s. He robbed a plane and then jumped out, and they've never found him.
Okay. So my book could be very realistic.
Right?
In my mind it was.
Right? Yeah, it could happen. So so you wrote, now how long did it take you to write the book?
2 years. Okay. It was, I guess my family got tired of me talking about it because every once in a while I'd bring it up. When I retire or when I things slow down, I'm going to write a book. And we talked about it since that trip. And then I think they got tired of hearing about it. So I finally decided that, I'm going to start putting pen to paper. But
you got to write this down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had no plot really other than I knew I wanted to rob a Brinks truck on Chapleau Highway. But I also am an avid reader and I like a little adventure. So I wrote what I like to read.
Yeah.
And I just sat and I started typing. And again, 2 years and why it took me so long is because I have a very hectic life.
Sure.
But then last year we had no winter. So I'm an avid snowmobiler, I'm an avid snowshoer, and I couldn't do any of that stuff. So I found myself Sunday afternoons, was either that or nap, hunkered down at my bar counter, typing away on my story.
That's great. So you didn't get any writing done this summer or this winter?
No. I finished it up last year, and then winter hit, and I've had a great year of snowmobiling.
Yeah, I bet. I am not a winter person, so I liked the winter that you were writing better than last winter. But now tell me about, so Tess is the lead character, and I always love a good adventure story with a lead character, and she sounds very feisty. She sounds very resourceful. So tell me how you wrote her to be. What are her characteristics? What kind of woman is Tess?
Tess is a businesswoman, ambitious, I would say. I'm not sure that she's like my own personality. I'm not sure I could do what she's done. But to make the story fun to read, I had to give her a little bit of a feisty character.
Sure.
To make it believable and keep the readers engaged in kind of, oh my gosh, what's she going to do next kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And Highway 121, of course, is a real highway.
Yes.
And that's the highway up to Chapleau.
Correct.
Now, this has been out since last fall.
Yes. About
You've had
October, the end of October, 1st of November, I was published. And
Okay.
Part of the process was I was able to get onto some channels right away. Amazon was real quick to get onto, but there are other channels that took a little time to get onto.
Sure. And you went with Friesen, is that correct?
Tellwell,
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know those are the two most popular ones that we get, that I find that, and it's now Tellwell is sort of a hybrid, would you say, self-publishing, traditional publishing?
Well, since I've never published, I guess
I
I'm not really sure on what. I'm going to tell you that it was very easy, and I could pay as much or as little as I wanted to, and get as many services as I wanted to.
Okay.
Through the process, I had a project manager who kind of led me down that path, and I knew that I didn't want to spend a lot of money at this point. I just was more proud of myself with respect to having something published. After I wrote it, I'm like, this is a really good book. I would read this.
If I must say myself.
Yeah.
Right?
And I wonder how much it would cost. So again, very little research done. I just did a quick Google search and I sent an email, and I was able to talk to somebody within a few days, and they led me down the path of kind of navigating the process and worked with me. So it was fun, but I can tell you have 3 revisions, and by the time it was the second revision, I was done looking at the book because that's not my forte.
Right.
My forte was the creative part.
Yeah.
The editing wasn't really my forte, but I did have family help with that part. And again, my novel certainly isn't perfect. You'll find some typos and some grammatical errors, but I mean, I've learned a little bit since I've done this.
Even in the best authors, the most prolific authors, I found, I love James Patterson. I read lots of his different series, and I found grammatical and typos in his. So I tell that always. The most prolific authors that make millions and millions of dollars doing this, they even have to, and it's just the process of the process.
Yes.
It's never going to be perfect. And with writers, it's never going to be perfect in your mind. The ideas, you could probably, if there was no cutoff, you could probably have kept rewriting till you died. And it still wouldn't be perfect for you.
Yeah.
So at one point,
you got to just let it go.
You have to let that go and get out to the world and wash your hands of it and hope it goes well.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can mention that my cover, you have a person that works with you with the cover, and he couldn't get it right. I just wasn't pleased with the cover. So I actually made a trip up the Chapleau Highway, and the cover of my book is a picture that I took on my phone on a day in July. It was a beautiful sunny day that I parked my car, and I got out and I took some cover shots, and that's what we used for the cover.
And that's what I figured, just because I know where that strip of road is, and I don't think it would be in anybody's stock files, you know, because it's a very remote area. So it wouldn't be in anybody's bundle of stock photos for book covers. So, and it really, I mean, obviously, it's called Operation Highway 129, and you've got the Highway 129 sign with really remote scenery around it, so it's perfect. It really sort of brings the reader into the nuts and bolts. It's about things that go on in this highway, remote area. What's happening there? Well, let's read the book and find out.
Right.
Yeah.
And for us Northerners that know the area, I think we have, I guess, maybe a little advantage, but I was hoping to write it for others that don't know the area and still find it entertaining, and what I wrote was believable in any situation or on any highway that's remote. So.
Right. How much did you have to do a lot of research?
No. I Google search, because in this book, their adventure goes outside of Highway 129. It goes into the States. It goes into Sioux, Michigan. It goes over the Mackinac Bridge. It goes to Chicago. It is an adventure that leads them through to Mexico, is what. Oh. So my Google searches were, okay, what highway goes from Sioux, Michigan over to Chicago? I think it was 91. So I made sure that my research and the highway numbers matched.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And there are locations and landmarks that I used in my book for other locations. And again, I researched that because I didn't know that area, and every place that my book goes to.
Yeah. So Chapleau, is there a bank in Chapleau now?
You know what? I don't know. I suspect there is. I know it isn't a CIBC. I think it may be a Royal or a TD. But, I don't know that for sure.
So does your book read like a how-to rob a Brinks truck on a desolate road?
I don't think it reads to how-to, but many of my friends that read my book say that I write like I talk. They found it very interesting that some of the slang and the bad words that are in this book would be something that Carey Smith would say, or statements that I would say. Yeah. And I never realized that I was writing like that until that was brought to my attention.
Your writing voice tells a lot about a person, because this is, and they say write what you know, but you can't write anything else because you only know what you know, and you can only write what you know. Yes. That sounds really circular there, but you would write the way you would tell a story, and that's you telling a story.
Correct. Yeah.
I love that. That's one book. It was a biography. It was Ozzy Osbourne, but one of his, I can't even remember what the name of it was, but it reads like he's telling the story, like exactly like he would tell it, except you can actually understand everything he's saying. But yeah, so it was out in the fall. What kind of response have you gotten?
I got pretty good response. Again, I'm not really knowing what to expect. And my goal really is only to recoup my cost. I'm not looking to make $1 million or anything crazy from it. It was more or less a goal of mine. I've peddled it at craft fairs through the winter. Yep. And I'll continue to do that. I need to expand my book base. Now, I've done some social media blasts, and I put it on my Facebook page every once in a while just to keep it going. But again, I struggle with the marketing piece, and that's something that I'm going to have to grow and learn as I navigate that piece.
Right. And I spoke to you a little bit before we started recording. Writers are traditionally very, very humble, and it's hard for writers to tout their, to sell their wares because it's so personal, and so you're not the only one that has a hard time with the marketing. But then again, no one's going to know about this great book that you wrote unless you sort of toot your own horn, right?
Yep, that's exactly true.
Yeah.
And get myself out there. So I've been a little bit guarded and again, strapped for time a little bit to be able to attend other things and expand my footprint. I've given a few copies out. Libraries have picked it up in our area. So word of mouth got me an interview on CTV.
Excellent.
So it has
and
been
an
a journey.
Interview on the book cover.
Yes.
Don't forget about that.
Yeah, no, I'll be able to toot my own horn about that.
That's
for sure.
right,
It's my very first podcast. So.
Oh, well, you're doing great.
Well,
you're doing
thank
wonderfully. What's next for you? What's next for Carey Smith in the writing world?
Well, I think I need to retire first. I did leave my book open so that there could be a sequel, and I do believe I will probably give it a shot. Not sure how long it'll take me, but again, we'll see. Let's see what retirement brings.
Right. Yeah. You never know what if you're going to be over busy, if you're going to be sitting in a chair watching the news all day long. I get that. Will it feature Tess, do you think? The same characters?
Yeah, I feel that it'll probably be Jake's story. So Jake is the
new love.
Yes, that she kind of changes her life for, and I think it'll be written in his perspective.
Okay.
So I've sort of started to think about what that looks like, and again, I need it to be adventurous and page turning, because that's again the kind of books that I like to read.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that there'll be some surprises. I already have some things in mind.
I love that. See, I'm intrigued already. Writing now. Have you started writing that yet, or you're just working it over in your mind?
Yeah, I'm just chewing on it for a little bit in my mind.
That's the way I write. It sits in my head for 7 to 10 years, and then I actually write it. I edit it. I go through it. Now, writing as a man. Now, this is going to be what have you thought about that?
Well, it's funny because there's also a character in my book, Joe. Joe is a mountain man. He lives off the grid. He has a float plane. He's been part of the heist as well. And a lot of my friends want to hear more about Joe, and I was really surprised. They were like, "We don't want to hear about Jake. Let's hear more about Joe.
What's his backstory? How did he end up being a mountain man?"
Exactly.
Right.
So I call them my hillbilly friends that like that rough and rustic, adventure. So I'm not sure where I'll take Jake or what that'll look like yet, but yeah.
Maybe Joe needs a novella. A small novel.
Yeah. Yes.
A tiny novel to explain his history. How did he become a mountain man? I love that. Now it almost sounds like, now correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like a Northern Ontario version of Ocean's 8.
Oh, I do like those movies.
Oh, right?
So yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you'll have to have a Clooney. You've got the old guy, the mountain man Joe.
Yeah.
You've got the female, which Ocean's 8 didn't include in the movies, but I like that you've included. Is Tess the boss in this? Is she the head of the ring?
Tess was the one to get things started. It was kind of her idea.
I love it.
But she needed muscle and some men to help her pull it off.
Yeah. Yeah. You always need help, and that's okay. But I like that she's like the lead.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And talking about the way you came up with this story, it's so real because, my husband and I will watch these heists. He loves anything that's a heist movie, and he'll watch these heist movies and we'll talk about it. Like, do you really think that this is, and could we do this here? And what would happen if this, and blah, blah, blah. If we can go back in time, there were a lot less security measures in place, right? And if I could go back in time, I would do this, and this. But it's a popular subject in our house, the heist, because it's always a good story. It's a great story.
Yep.
So the heist is a Brinks truck. What's in the truck? Money, gold?
Gold, because Chapleau has, in my book, they have a gold mine that has opened, and Tess's job is to open a branch so that they can funnel the gold through the bank and have it distributed. And I call Sault Ste. Marie, technically, Sault Falls is who I refer to in my book. It's Sault Ste. Marie. So I've sort of renamed Sault Ste. Marie, but there's other places around Algoma that I have included, such as Iron Bridge and a few other Little Rapids, which is just outside of Thessalon, Salton, which is just outside of Chapleau. So there's a variety of actual real places, and then there's some made up places.
Well, that's your poetic license. You're allowed to do whatever the heck you want.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you're already starting to think about the next book. Do you see this being like a series?
Maybe.
You got to retire first.
Yes, yeah, and I'm
get to working on the real stuff.
Yeah, the fun stuff.
Yeah, the fun stuff.
The feedback I've got has been very positive. Now, I'm not sure that my book's not for everybody, and
no book is for everybody.
So there's people that are going to like it, and then there's people that aren't probably not going to say anything about it, especially friends or family that. But the feedback that I have gotten has been very positive, and the encouragement that I've gotten to continue with writing it's amazing. Putting myself out there is something that Carey Smith typically doesn't usually do.
It's not easy.
And my family has been very supportive too. So they're also throwing in suggestions on my next book, and I'll take them. But we'll see. I really want it to be exciting.
If you do not approve, then they're out.
Yeah.
And they don't get writer's credit either.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
I love that this could go on. It's such an interesting topic, and I love that you used real places that we can, like, it sounds like a real I hate to pigeonhole it, but it sounds like a real Northern Ontario book that Northern Ontario people will be entertained with, but they'll also recognize all these places, all these things. They'll recognize the names of the banks or whatever. Now, the bank that she opens up is a CIBC?
Actually not. I worked for CIBC's, but it's a national bank, or I forget exactly what I called it. So it doesn't really have a Canadian
just
name.
Just a generic name?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. Got it. Yeah, you don't want to, just in case somebody comes back and says, some guy from Scotiabank head office, we don't appreciate you writing our...
Yeah.
So you said the libraries do have it?
Yes. I have Thessalon Library picked it up quite quickly.
Yeah.
Again, we lived in Thessalon, so they know me and my name, and they're familiar with some of the areas, so they picked it up. I've made some donations to others, and I will continue to do that as well.
Oh, for sure. Is it at the Sault Ste. Marie Public Library yet?
No, it's not.
Okay.
So part of my marketing strategy will have to be a plan to get it out there.
Yeah. You're going to have to email somebody there, because I know they're starting to get quite, the creatives in this area is ridiculous. It's ridiculous how many people we have in this area that write books, not just write books, but write good books. And I think they've started, I think either they're thinking about doing it, they're in the process of doing it, or they've already done it, having a local author section in the library. And one of the things I always said was, if I wrote a book and it was in the library, I would check every day to see how many times it was checked out. Now, do you do that at the Thessalon Library?
I don't. No,
I would be checking every single day. How many holds are on my book? How many times it's been checked out? What's happening? What's going on?
Yeah.
Now, this genre, do you think you'd ever, we get a lot of people that come on that write children's books or, young adult books or fantasy. So this is heist fiction, sort of thriller, I guess, dramatic. It's not comedy.
No.
Do you think you'd ever be attracted to a different type of genre, or is this what you like?
I think this is what I like. I'm not saying that I recently had a grandbaby, so she's
congratulations.
New. Thank you. It might be an opportunity to do something fun with a children's book someday, but nothing in the works.
Nothing in the works
no.
yet. Okay. I can see like a baby heist book. I don't know if anybody's ever written that.
Yeah.
We can have a baby Tess and a baby Jake and a baby Joe. I would love to see that. Any opportunities come up since you've written the book? Have you had, you said you had an interview with CTV.
Yes.
You're doing this interview here. Have you had the opportunity to read excerpts of your book or do like a launch or anything like that?
No, I haven't. Something that I will consider is, I know there are book clubs out there, and I'm certainly willing to kind of go and have. Again, I'm not a book club member, so I'm not exactly sure how it all unfolds, but certainly that's something I thought that I could possibly do. If invited, I would certainly welcome the opportunity. Again, I've got a few irons in the fire with respect to promotion. Over the next few months. But again, I'm just trying to enjoy the ride and just trying to, take it slowly. This isn't anything that I expected to make $1 million at.
Yeah.
It was just more for fun and a pat on the back that I actually did it.
Yes. And you know what? That's the most beautiful type of project. You did it for yourself. You didn't do it for anybody else. Correct. I love that. So at the library, I'm not sure if you knew, at our library here at Sault Ste. Marie Public Library, we have book club in a bag where they purchase between 7 and 11 books of a certain book, and they have it available for other book clubs to come and take out. So do not donate 7 to 10 books. Maybe donate one and tell them if they were interested, this would be a really good book club novel, because it would be, that they do have a mystery book, a special mystery book club at the library as well. So I mean, I know they try to add local authors in every once in a while. So if you talk to the right people, which I can very easily give you the right people, you might be able to get in there for that. And what a great thing to be able to go to a book club and talk about your book that they've all just read.
Right. Yeah.
Like that would be
super.
Idea. Yeah, that would be super fun. When you first saw your book available on Amazon, was that surreal?
Oh yeah. What happened was, it was a Saturday, and I noticed I'd got an email for Tellwell, and I went on Sunday, and it said that my book had been pushed to the channel. So channels are different avenues. So I'm like, I'm going to Google Amazon, see if, and sure enough, I Googled Amazon. It took me to the US site, but there I was up and live, and I was just like, oh my God. So again, technology, I took a picture of my computer screen and sent it to my kids that I was live. And then everybody was a little bit freaked out. So they're like, Mom, you're on Canada too. And I'm like, where else am I? So as time has gone by, I've got on a variety of other channels as well. But it's so exciting to see that, oh my goodness, I'm actually have a footprint.
Isn't that exciting? Yeah. And again, just seeing your, I would be on Amazon every day checking to see how many people. But now, the summary of your book I thought was really well written. Who wrote that? Was that?
I did.
You did.
I did. They had given me a couple of suggestions, but I didn't like. It wasn't me. It was way too wordy. It sounded too important. I said, I just need something general. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I thought it was really, really good. And I read a lot of summaries. So I thought it was really good because what you said, it was succinct. It was to the point. It gave me the information I needed to decide whether it was something I wanted to read or not. It wasn't flourishy. It was quick and to the point. Keep the flourish for inside the covers, because the first thing a book reader is going to do is pick it up and look at the summary.
Right.
First thing. And if the summary is not catchy and does not catch their interest, they're not going to go into the book.
Yes.
And read all the flourishy stuff. So I commend you for that. I was coming here, I do my research at home, and as I was coming here, and I was thinking, you know what, that summary was amazing. I'm going to have to ask her if that was Tellwell or if that was her, because it was really well written. I thought really grabbed my interest. It told me everything I wanted to know. It mentioned heist, which piqued my interest. It mentioned Northern Ontario, of course, that piqued my interest. And it really did tell me everything I needed to know, like all the green flags. I loved it.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you did a good job.
Good.
Where can one get your book? Oh, so let's do ebooks first. Where can people get them online?
So ebook you could get on Amazon. That's an option.
.com and .ca?
Yes.
Both.
And I am supposed to be in other Amazon channels with respect to Australia, England.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm out of country
Yes.
as well.
You're international.
Yes.
I love it. And here in town, where can people pick up a print copy?
So Stone's Office Supply has a print copy, as well as Main Street Pharmacy in Thessalon also stocks my book.
Very wonderful. And how much is the book?
$15.
Very reasonable. I love it. And with Mother's Day's coming up, maybe their mother likes heist and criminal, you know what I mean? What a great book for them to pick up for you. For, even though you're not in it for the money, it's that extra little accolade when people do buy the book.
Yes. Yeah. It makes me very proud and happy.
Of course. Do you have a website?
I do not. It's
Not yet,
something
okay.
I need to possibly consider.
Okay. Social media dedicated to just the book?
No.
No. Okay. Well, you're going to have to get on that.
Yes, I will.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, it's been a pleasure. And I'm actually interested in the book because it, like I said, it hits all the things that I like. So it'll be one that I would be interested in reading. And I wish you all the best.
Well, thank you very much, Lisa, for having me. It's been fun here, be able to sit and talk with you today about my book and be able to do a little marketing as well. So thank you.
Yeah, see, it's not painful. It doesn't have to be painful. It can be fun. You've been listening to The Book Cover on the Borderline. We've been talking with Carey Smith, author of Operation Highway 129. Pick it up for your mother for Mother's Day. She'll probably enjoy it. I am Lisa Tucker, and remember, don't judge a book by its cover.
Hi, I'm Carey Smith, author of Operation Highway 129. Operation Highway 129 is a fictional novel which involves a gold heist in a remote highway on northern Ontario. My book is available online at Amazon, Chapleau, and Indigo, and at Stone's Office Supply, as well as Main Street Pharmacy in Thessalon. Check out my podcast on the book cover with Lisa Tucker on the Borderline.